Okay, I am excited for today. Today is part 2, so welcome back, you guys. Today, who did the homework? First of all, did any of you do the kind of the web that I mentioned? It's kind of like a little bit of like a spider. Did you guys do it just to kind of like play with some ideas of where you're at? And yeah, because today we're going to take it a little bit further. Okay, so if you didn't do it, I want you to ask yourself why. Why didn't I do it? I just did a live earlier in our Facebook group, just saying, and on Instagram, actually, I was live on Instagram too. And it's interesting because sometimes we have these desires, we have these things we want to do, or these desires that we want to have in our physical world, but we don't have the discipline. We don't have the discipline, we don't have the faith, we don't have the trust. And then every time we don't do something that we said we were going to do, we kind of like lose that trust a little bit more. So, I mean, not to like make you feel bad or anything like that if you didn't do it, but I just want you to just become aware of that. Like, am I truly, really fully committed to getting out of my own way? Or am I half in? Am I half in? Okay, so we're going to talk about that more a little bit later today as well. We're going to do things a little bit differently today. Okay, so we're going to do our second exercise on live. For those of you that aren't necessarily in that space of absolute discipline yet. Okay, so most people, as we know, pretty much everybody, make their decisions from their current 3D reality. So when we take a look at what we wrote, or like hypothetically what we wrote, these are our current experiences. So how did it feel writing them? How does it feel writing down how your current situation is with money? How's that feel? Okay, and those of you that are on live, you're welcome to pipe up in the chat too, anytime. Like, how does it feel to write down your current situation around yourself, right? Are you like your health, yourself, your self-image, like how you see yourself, how you feel like? So writing down those current experiences, in my experience, some areas don't feel really nice, right? They don't feel like super exciting even. Like some of them kind of feel pretty basic. So / like not so good even. Okay, so what happens when we make decisions from that place? What happens when we live and exist in that 3D reality? If money, for example, is something, our current situation with money is not feeling super exciting. It's not feeling super limitless. It's not feeling super whatever, right? If we're making a decision, we have a desire. What tends to happen is we downplay that desire and we say, oh, that's good enough. Or like, that'll do. Or like, oh, I don't, I shouldn't go for that one because, and again, I just did, the topic of the live today was talking about staying small to please other people. Okay, to make other people feel comfortable or happy. And so it kind of just tied in all together. Okay, so our current experiences they're not necessarily exciting. Some of them are. Of course, we're having a beautiful experience here. We are so grateful for what we have created. We are like all the things for where we are now. So grateful. But if we are making decisions from that place, I hope you guys can see what I'm trying to say here, right? So what I would love you to do, if you did do this homework from yesterday, is to burn this piece of paper, right? Burn the web that you just made, because you need to. There's a saying, and I tried to look for it, but I couldn't find it. It's like, you must die to your present self before you can move, and before you can really truly step into who you're here to be. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that's not a finish line. It's something that's ever evolving. But the reality is that we can't have one foot in, one foot out. That's how we are giving off mixed signals. We are living in this feeling of uncertainty. We're going to get into this a little bit more again today. You must die to your present self. Neville Goddard says that. I can hear his voice in my head. but it's in the power of awareness, but I can't find it for the life of me right now. Okay. So from this point on, you guys, if you're really truly here to grow, to break through these invisible glass ceilings, to like change your own programming from now on, we're not just like tiptoeing around. We're not just like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Maybe we no longer identify through our current experiences, period. That's it. We no longer allow ourselves to set up camp. When we have those ideas, these beliefs, these thoughts that are of lack and limitation in any degree, we don't need them, right? We can grow from them. We can honor them. We can forgive ourselves for believing them to be completely true, and we can release them. Okay. So I want us to grab another piece of paper. Okay. Right now, grab a piece of paper. I'm going to do it too. Draw out the same 5 bubbles. Okay. So we have, what were the bubbles again? Let's check it out. Love, work, self, family, and money. I'll put it in the chat. Okay, there we are. So we've got our 5 circles almost on our piece of paper. Got love, work, self, family, and money. Okay, when we have those 5 circles, those 5 bubbles drawn, we're gonna again turn them into little spiders. Add on the legs. Okay. Can you tell I'm a homeschool mom? Add on the legs. Okay. We've got our spiders. Okay. And now we're going to do a little visualization for each of these bubbles. Okay. And we're going to discover what we really, truly desire each of these topics to look like and feel like. Okay. So we're going to do this in, we can do it together. Actually, I was going to say do it in our own time, but I would rather us do it together. Really loud bird over there. Okay. So let's start with love. Okay. So when you're ready and you've got your love bubble written down, I want you to close your eyes, roll your shoulders up and back, just open through the heart and the chest, take a breath. Out through the mouth, and just allow yourself a moment to breathe. I want you to release expectation. I want you to release what you thought was, or I guess like what you have experienced up until now on the topic of love. Okay, and then what you're going to do from here is you're going to allow yourself to open up and dream. You're going to imagine, how does love feel for you? How does love look for you in your life? Take a breath. If anything is possible, all things are possible. Doesn't matter your current situation. Doesn't matter about the past. What happened in the past is the past. It's gone. What do you want from now on? And what is your ideal situation around love? How does it feel? Love is limitless. It's not something you take from other people. It's something you cultivate inside yourself. How does it feel? Okay, take one more breath here. And then exhale. And as you do, you can slowly come back into your body and open your eyes. And then write down any words or key feelings, emotions that came up for you. Describing words. If you want to share, you're welcome to. It's so easy for us to identify through what happened in the past. Right? It's so easy for us to like feel like love is there's a limit to it, or it needs to look a certain way, or like, yeah. Another thing is like people, it's like expecting acceptance and love from other people. It's so interesting, but it needs to, like, everything happens from within us. Everything starts and begins from within us. So the moment we can really truly step into loving ourselves exactly as we are, and that doesn't limit us to growing and expanding anymore, it actually encourages us to expand and grow more in that area, right? So interesting. Okay, so there's love. We've got some, at least a few good describing words, some powerful feeling behind it about how our ideal love looks like in our world. There's no right or wrong here. Okay. Peace. Yeah. Lynette says, love to me is peace, empowering, nurturing, growing, aging together. Yes. Harmony, right? Ease. So good. Love it. So even if we aren't fully experiencing that yet, I love that. I love that. And you, like, who knows, we could be already experiencing some of these. I'm not saying we're not, but we're going to close the gap later today and tomorrow. Okay. Okay. So we've got love. Take your time. Let's do it again for work. Okay. Take a breath, close your eyes when you're ready. Releasing the past, doesn't matter what happened before. Releasing expectations, pressure on ourselves. Take a breath. And then asking ourselves, what do I desire? What do I desire my work to feel like? So work is an interesting word. It's quite jam-packed with lots of different avenues. So whatever you choose this to mean to you, breathe into it. What does work feel like for you? What does it look like? Take a breath. What does work, your version of work, feel like? What does it look like? What is it like? Again, if all things are possible, what does it look like? No limitations. None of this, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. What do you desire it to look like? Take a breath here. Feeling it, and then exhale, and we'll slowly open the eyes, and we can write down what we experienced. And again, if you feel called to share, what does work feel like? So sometimes we have this negative connotation around work, that work feels hard. Work is long, or work is something that takes us away from our family. Interesting, right? I mean, I know that, yeah, work to me is flow, laughter, ease, brilliance, and creation. I love that, Lynette. And I know that that's not, that's potentially not always been the story. And I'm super like proud of you for leaning more into that, right? And for following that desire, right? And that nudge. So work, we live in quite a masculine dominated society, where work tends to be something that is difficult, something that is, like I said, long, takes us away from the family. It kind of has this, like, I got to go to work, and I'm not saying everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, because that's not true at all. Like, you can find absolute joy, flow, laughter, ease, brilliance, and creation in a job. And that's amazing. Like, that's great for you. And I love that for you. Right. But if all things are possible and there are no limits, what does work mean for you? What does it look like for you? Love that. Especially love that creation and creativity piece. Like that's a big one for me. Okay. Shall we do it again? Are you guys ready? Next one. Loving this. Okay. Self. So what is self, first of all? Sorry, this construction. This is totally self-explanatory. Like I'm not going to even say what it is. Okay. So let's take a breath. Close your eyes when you're ready. Take a breath in through the nose and releasing what you thought to be true about yourself right now. That's a big one. I don't know if that's even really possible. Releasing even like your identity up until now. What does that mean to you? And going forward, all things are possible. There is no lack, no limitation. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you here to be on this earth, on this planet? When these ideas, these thoughts come into your mind, notice how they make you feel. Who are you here to be? How does it feel? Take another breath here. And then let's release through the mouth. Come back, open the eyes, and write down what you saw. Okay, and again, feel free to share. I love that you're sharing, Lynette. And that's totally fine if you don't want to share. It's totally good. Okay, so who are you? Who are you here to be? You're somebody who is influential, strong, creative, certain, decided. Somebody who is, like at peace, relaxed. It's a good one. All right. This is a good one. I think this one's pretty there's lots to say here. And I think this one, of course, influences all the other ones, all the other avenues. Okay, so often we have this perspective or this identity that we live through. Like our identity is so powerful, right? The way we see ourselves is how the world sees us. So if we identify as somebody who is, whatever it is, I'll use my own personal example. Like back in the day, it's like someone who is a single mom that has a whole identity around it, right? Someone who is just has, only has just enough. Self to me is precisely authentic, confident, a magnet for what? Yes, happy to be me. I love that. So good. Just like at peace, right? So I love that. Okay. So next one, let's do the family. Okay, family. And family is whatever it means for you, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be just your close family. It can be, meaning whatever it means to you. Okay, so take a breath, close your eyes. Again, releasing what was, releasing expectation, releasing assumptions. If all things are possible, What does your family feel like? How do they show up? What does it look like? How does it feel? So much gratitude, right? So much gratitude. Continue to explore what the word family means to you. How does it feel? How does it look? Again, no limits, no right or wrong. Okay, and then take a breath here and come back. Open the eyes and write it down. Okay. How does it feel? Family. I think it's like for some people, this could be a hard one. For someone who's, with, the past being very powerful and very prevalent in some situations, our past situations with our family and things like that. It could be a more difficult exercise, but I want you guys, those of you that it is a little tricky for you, maybe someone watching on the recording, I want you to really try to I mean, like, of course, I don't want to like downplay this at all. You are honoring your past, right? You are so freaking grateful for your past because it's made you who you are today. All of us, right? We wouldn't be here in this situation, with this frame of mind, with this awareness without our past, right? So we're so grateful for the past, but we no longer need to hold on to it. We no longer need to be identifying through it. Okay, it's time to heal. It's time to heal ourselves and to recognize that, I mean, although it might seem hard to hear, but no one's going to come and save us. Okay, it's up to us to heal and to choose to move on from the past. And I hope that this exercise is doing that and like helping us to heal and helping us to recognize that, hey, we get to choose. And this is part of the awakening as well, is this like, oh my gosh, for me, this was massive. Like this whole concept of like, holy moly, I actually get to choose and I actually get to leave the past. Yes, I get to leave what was. So Lynette says, family to me is eternal love, always having my back, love to be together, allowing each to be unique. Yes, love to memory build together, making memories. I love that. Yes, family. So good. Harmony, right? Okay. And then the last one, let's do money. This is a good one. Save the best for last. Okay. So again, when you're ready, take a breath, close your eyes, roll the shoulders up and back. Again, releasing those exhales. And then letting go of what your current situation with money is. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The numbers that are in your bank account, doesn't matter the money or lack of money that is in your experience right now. It does not matter. There's no limits except for the ones we create. So if all things are possible, what do we desire our situation with money to look like? And this could be absolute numbers. It can be numbers that flash to your mind. It can be like a monthly income of this, annual income of this. It can be a specific feeling. This is how I want to feel around money. You choose how you interpret this exercise. So how does it feel? when you are generating, not earning, generating the amount of money you'd like to generate and create and bring into your physical experience. Okay, I want you to listen if there's any resistance that comes up. I'm sure there's been resistance in almost every single one of these exercises where the yeah, but, or how comes up, okay? Just take note of it. If all things are possible, what does your money situation or experience look like and feel like? Doesn't matter when. Doesn't matter how. Breathing into this space. And releasing, coming back to the body, open the eyes, and then writing down what you experienced. It's really good to put numbers on things, to be honest. And this is something I've learned from Bob Proctor, because, for example, if someone's like, I want a lot of money, he's like, well, how much is a lot? Because a lot to me might be different than a lot to you, right? It's directly in accordance with the law of relativity. I have to think about that one for a second. The law of relativity. Nothing is big or small, it just is. Okay, how does money feel when you are, what is your ideal money experience feel like? Like absolute, here we're talking more about the physical, monetary money, right? Money can also be a non, maybe it's a physical thing, but it's more of like an asset, right? Money can be an asset. It can also be a trade sort of thing, like something is you're trading. Money can also mean, like, I put money here instead of wealth or instead of prosperity because I wanted to actually more focus on actual money. Does that make sense? So some people have some stuff around money. I think that, money is, like I said earlier, it's a direct, it's a direct kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm lost for words today. Interpretation, more or less, of our impact we've been able to have on this world. That is, to me, what money is. It's an exchange. Okay. And so does money fall out of the sky sometimes? Yeah, it does. It does. I'm not saying that it needs to be earned, right? And that thing of it being an exchange, there does have an underlying kind of like a feeling of it needs to be earned, right? You need to earn it. That's Bob Proctor speaking there, right? But because Bob Proctor, he's awesome, but he does have a lot of the masculine flow and masculine viewpoints. And so, money is directly connected to your consciousness. Okay. So I will say that I believe that to be true, that your self-worth, your identity of yourself is in direct connection to your worth, right? What you believe you can earn, create, generate, what the money you believe you are worthy of. Okay. And again, it doesn't necessarily need to be money. It could be, it directly correlates to things too, like assets. It totally does. If you don't believe, like somebody I know in my life that's a close family member, doesn't believe that they'll ever own anything in their life, it's directly connected to her self-worth. 100%, right? She believes she's not worthy of owning things. Okay, they're too expensive. She'll never be able to own anything in her life. Okay, super interesting, right? So what comes up? You guys want to share anything when it comes up around money? What's your ideal money situation feel like, look like? Okay. So what often happens here when we did this exercise is the how comes up, and the how comes in fast and furious, right? How is that possible? Okay, love this. Okay, gotta read this. Money, oh gosh. It means to me generating a flow in coming in and out of my account so I don't feel like I need to check my balance. Abundance is always there, being able to exchange more than enough to say yes to whatever I want. Oh yes, money to be able to share my resources with those who need help. An amount, I'm not sure, but I can live and do what I want with always. Yes. Okay. Get that. Amazing. Okay. So money is a big one, and I feel like I'm almost ready to talk to do more like programs and things around money, because I think that that's something that a lot of people need, including myself, right? So if the how didn't come up, or if those yeah buts didn't come up, you might be dreaming too small. Okay, so many people, especially those of you that are newer around here, we don't allow ourselves this ability to dream. We've been taught not to. We've been taught to come back here. We need to be here now. We're in this physical world now, you know? And then we have these like beautiful dreams and ideas, and we tell someone about them and they're like, you're nuts. And we're like, bam, you know, back to reality. Dang. Doesn't feel good. Okay, that's happened to us all, I'm sure, over and over and over again throughout our lifetime. So I live basically to help other people to remember how to dream, like, and to dream big. So I'm just going to review this for those of you that haven't heard it before, the 3 types of goals. And remember that the more times you hear it, the better, because that's repetition, and that's hopefully starting to stick in your mind. Okay, and so what happens when we hear something over and over and over again, we begin to understand it intellectually. And maybe you can even like recite it back to me, right? The 3 types of goals. But over time, what we're really working on doing is embodying it and remembering it like in our cells. Okay, so these 3 types of goals, there's an A-type goal. That's something that is, we've done it before. We know we could do it again. Okay, maybe we've been through a lot since we've done it, but we've done it before. Okay, B-type goal is something that we know we could do with a little bit more effort. It's a bit stretchy, but it's not that stretchy. We've probably done some aspect of it before, or we've had some aspect of it before. So maybe it's like, I have this car, I want this upgrade. Okay, you know that it's something that you could do with a little bit more effort. Excuse me. Something like that, right? And then C-type goal. C-type goal is where we want to hang out. C-type goal is what we live for. C-type goals are like stretchy. They are exciting. They are they are scary. Okay, scary C-type goals. C-type goals are things that, you know, you think of and right away your paradigm's like, how the heck would that ever happen? It's something that you've never done before. It's something that you probably don't tell many people about. When you think of it, it gives you like shivers and goosebumps and butterflies all at the same time. It's something that feels out of reach. Okay, it feels out of reach. I want to really drive home this idea, and help you guys to understand that a C-type goal is a big deal, right? It's a big deal. And so this is where we like to hang out. In my world, we hang out in these places. We play within the idea that there is no limits and this you know, non-linear existence. Okay, we're not really realistic. Somebody who's like, you know, be realistic. Not realistic. I don't want to be realistic. Okay, being realistic, that's a B-type goal or an A-type goal. C-type goal, I want you guys to understand that what happens when we decide on something, we decide on, you know, this is how my life is. Look at these little beautiful spiders you just drew on your page. When we decide and we look at this is how my money situation is. Okay, there is a disconnect between manifesting and manifested. Did you know that? Manifesting and manifested. Okay, manifesting, the act of manifesting, there is a affirmation there that most people don't catch. I see so many people say, you know, I'm becoming. I am manifesting this. And I myself use that sometimes for sure. But once we say, I am manifesting this into my experience, we are affirming that it's not yet here. There's a disconnect. Interesting, right? So when we can look at this, our next step here is to become these. Okay, it's to look at this and decide. Maybe you've already got quite a few of them down. You're like, oh yeah, well, family's already there. Look at me go. You know, this, I hope this exercise helps you to see that you are doing incredible work, right? You are exactly where you need to be. And so when we are looking at like, okay, my family bubble, I'm like rock solid there. I am so good. I'm already there. I am embodying that, those feelings, that energy, that is my physical experience right now. Okay, that's great. See if you can lean into a little bit more of the limitless, like, you know, what if, like we started yesterday, what if, but what if it was better? What if it was, we are more connected? What if we could spend more time together? What if we can have more beautiful experiences? You know, what if we can, like, what if? So really come into that energy, okay? There's always room for expansion and fuller expression. Our spirit is here for it. We are creative beings, and it's not greedy. It's not egotistical. It's not all of those like negative things that sometimes creep in from outside sources, especially. It's not those things. Okay, we deserve to step into our power. We deserve to become a better, brighter version of ourselves. And when we do, what happens? We influence everyone around us. We become a bright light for people that we don't even know. Okay, so we're taking a look at our little spiders and we're asking ourselves, where do I feel a disconnect right now? Where do I feel a disconnect right now? And how can I close the gap? Tomorrow, we're going to do this more. We're going to talk more about closing the gap and becoming and collapsing time, quantum leaping, it's also called. Okay, so I want to hear from you guys. And I've got a few of my own too, and a few that I can assume to be true. What comes up when I tell you that? When I say, okay, for money, become it now. Like, we are this now. We are these feelings now. These numbers are true to us now, right? This ability to not have to check my balance as now, right? This ability to give, to give freely, to, you know, offer scholarships into my programs. What if that was now? Okay, why can't it be now? What comes up? Write it down. Why can't money be limitless now? Why do we believe it's not? Okay. What I want to do here and kind of like bring up is this disconnect. I want to discover this disconnect that we believe, and it's personal to each of us, right? It's totally unique to each of us. Some common, what's the word? Some common things that I hear are not good enough. I'm not consistent enough. I'm not healthy enough. I'm not, let's see, I don't know enough people. I don't know what I want. It's a big one. I don't know what I want. My life is chaotic. I don't have enough avenues of revenue is another one. So what happens here? Let's talk about this for one sec. I'm like on a tangent a little bit about money here today, because like what happens, say for example, money's just an easy example, to be honest. So the money bubble, when we look at that and we see those words and those feelings that we wrote down, and like those experiences that we wrote down that we would love to have in our current experience, when we see them and we work to become them, we were looking at them and I would love that to be my experience. Where was I totally just lost my train of thought. Sometimes what happens, it'll come back, I'm sure, is we Okay, here it is. Here it is. There's this how is loud. This how is loud. This how is so loud. We're like, how is that even possible? I don't have enough avenues of revenue. I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have enough consistency. I don't have time. It's a big one, right? All of those things. Let's really, really, truly work to realize those hows don't matter. Okay, what's going to happen is when we decide that we are existing, just like Lynette wrote out here, we are existing in that energy now. Guess what's going to happen? We're going to receive opportunities seemingly fall out of the sky, opportunities to generate money, opportunities to give back. Okay, there's going to be so many opportunities that are going to come. Just like, I think I used that yesterday. Someone says like, I don't like my job. I hate my job, or my phone, something about, and then you lose the job. Universe is like, here you go. There's an opportunity, lost the job. And then most people are like, oh my God, I'm freaking out, where we could turn it around and say, oh my gosh, I asked for this. Now look at me go. Now, like, I've got this like fire underneath my butt. I need to actually follow my dream and do what I want. You know what I mean? So when we release this control, this is so important. When we release this control and this needing to know how, we open ourselves up to limitless potential. Okay. So today's affirmation and focus in our proximity group was, I deeply and completely trust in my process, or trust in the process. Okay. And that was me kind of helping, or that was kind of like the whole premise of that was helping us to get out of our own way and to release that control, so that when we take a look at how we want our experience to feel and look and be, we release that. I trust in the process. And we're reminding ourselves all the time of that. Okay. So does anyone want to share any, like, how, like, any resistance or any something that came up that is saying that's not true for me, because that's not true for me because, okay, I would love to hear from you. And then we're going to do a little bit of a shorter EFT tapping session. Okay. So see if we can release some of this resistance, forgive ourselves for thinking that and believing that that's true. Because you guys, like, as we are born, most people believe this anyway, without these limitations. We are born without this lack mindset, these like scarcity mindset. We are born, you don't see a little child being like self-conscious about their body, right? Or self-conscious about their bank account, right? You don't see them have limitation or lack. This is all created through our experiences, and it has formed part of our paradigm. And our paradigm is really, really, really a big deal. Okay, it controls almost all of our habitual habits, and almost all of our habits are habitual. Almost all the things we do in a day are done on autopilot or some sort of it as a result of the way that we've been taught to do something, the way that we've been taught to show up or even live or exist. Okay. So if you'd like to share, take your time, find a comfortable seat. Okay. Love that, Lynette. It's not true because I need help with tech, for example, and that takes money. Okay. So it's almost a feeling of like, we're afraid to invest money into this because we don't know if it's going to come back. It's almost like a fear of like, is it really going to work out? Do you feel that? I don't know if that's true at all. Because I know, Lynette, that generates over 10,000. Ooh, and it's done before and it didn't happen. That's happened to so many of us, right? That's like a very real thing. Okay. And that's us continuing to live through that past. And I know that, I truly believe, we have never been here before. We have never been in this exact situation, in this exact frame of mind before, with this awareness that we have right here, right now. Okay, we've never been here before. Doesn't matter if you're on this event or not. Like you're always going through a different experience. Okay. And so if we are somebody who continues to hold on to what was, or live through, or live in accordance to what was or what happened before, guess what we're going to do? And I know you know that. We're just going to create the same. We're just going to continue to create the same. And so that's not easy. It's not easy to move through that. Yes. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing. All right. Find a comfortable seat when you're ready. Take a breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Roll the shoulders up and back a few times. Okay, and then finding stillness. Just noticing how you're feeling when you think of these desires that you just drew out on paper. When you're feeling like you are stepping into them and you desire them to be real in your physical 3D world now, just feeling what comes up for you. Maybe there's a sensation of tension that shows up in the body. Maybe there's some limitations that show up. I've done this before. I'm going to mess up. Not good enough. Just noticing what's coming up for you. It's sometimes a pretty big jump for our subconscious mind to believe, if we are so accustomed and programmed to believing one thing and living and experiencing one thing, not even just one thing, but our current physical reality in our 3D world, it sometimes is difficult to perceive something so seemingly large as truth. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're hopefully going to begin to close the gap. Love it, Lynette. Okay. So take a breath. And we're going to begin by tapping on the side of the hand. If you've never experienced tapping, EFT tapping before, you're basically just going to copy what I do and what I say. Okay, we're tapping on acupressure points on the body, and we're talking about our feelings. And it's an incredible way to shift out of the fight and flight and into the rest and restore, and to work with the subconscious mind to start to shift our awareness, release resistance, and to step into a new version of ourselves. Okay, take a breath, tapping on the side of the hand, and say, when I think of all of these desires I wrote down, all of these experiences I wish to have, they all feel so exciting and expansive. But there's part of me that doesn't believe that they can be true. I have so many thoughts and beliefs that come up. So many things telling me why I can't exist in that way. I would like to explore them today. And I would like to open up to the idea that my life can look a different way. Okay, let's go to the top of the head and say, when I look at these desires I've written down, eyebrow points, I feel some resistance in my body. Side of the eye. Some old memories come to mind. Under the eye, about how I have tried to do this before and failed. Underneath the nose, I would love for these desires to be my experience. Under the mouth, but for some reason, I don't think it's possible for me. Collarbone point, all these thoughts and these feelings that come up. Underneath the arms, when I look at these desires on my paper. Underneath the chest, I would love all of these to be my reality now. Wrist points, but there's parts of me telling me it's not possible. The top of the head, I'm not good enough. Eyebrow points, last time I tried this, I failed. Side of the eye, thoughts like, fill in the blank, what else comes up? Underneath the eyes, all of these thoughts and this resistance I feel in my body. Under the nose, all of these hows. Under the mouth, they feel so real to me now. Collarbone points, they don't feel good in my body or my mind. Underneath the arms, and I don't really want to continue to exist in this way. Underneath the chest, I would love to open up to the idea that I can embody these desires today. Wrist points, that I can exist in these realities today. Wrist point again. I am open and curious to understand or explore how this feels. I am ready to shift this awareness now. Okay, take a breath. So just tuning into how you're feeling. Sometimes you might feel tingly. You might feel some more emotion come to the surface, especially if you are, if there's a pretty decent disconnect from your current reality to where you want to be, you might still be feeling quite a bit of resistance, and that's okay. Tapping 101 allows us to go through this a little bit deeper, and maybe we do another round and personalize it even more. So bear with me. We're doing this kind of in like a, not generic, but I hope that the fill in the blank pieces kind of help you guys to personalize it as well. Okay. So just noticing how you're feeling, noticing what's come up, write it down. When I say things like all these thoughts and these feelings that have come up, what comes up for you? Like write those down. Okay. I call those your keys, your kind of golden tickets. Those are so, so powerful. And like I mentioned at the beginning, we have a choice. Okay. We have a choice. We can show up and we can have one foot in, one foot out and not really do the work, just kind of listen. And that's okay. Or we can really, truly commit to this process and say, that's enough. I've had enough of living my life this way. I'm not here for it anymore. I am serious and I'm ready to take action in a big way. This is how we take action. We listen to those thoughts and those beliefs that come up and we write them down. And we go through them later and we ponder them and we ask ourselves, like, this doesn't, where does this come from? I don't want to exist in this anymore. And we make a choice. We make a choice to release it and let it go. And we choose again. Okay, that's all. It's pretty simple. We just choose again. And over time, what's going to happen is it's easier to choose again. It's easier. We develop the awareness to recognize, hey, that thought isn't serving me. Okay, I say this all the time. Okay, so writing down any of those golden tickets and then make it, a thing that later today, after our session this morning, you go back, you grab yourself a tea and you sit there and you're like, why do I believe I need to exist in this? Why are these beliefs continually coming up? And then am I really ready to release this? Am I ready to believe that I am limitless? Okay. So let's take a breath again, come back in. Sorry, we're running a little bit over time, but we kind of started a little bit late anyway. Take a breath. Okay, and let's tap on the side of the hand. This time we're going to work on forgiving ourselves for really believing those old beliefs are true. Okay, so repeating after me. When I first when I first read what I wrote down on my paper, I felt some resistance come up in my body and my mind. It showed up in the form of physical tension in my body, potentially. And it felt like, how did it feel? Maybe you felt something in your stomach, right? How did it feel? Get super clear. When I first said these desires to myself, I noticed that I had some old thoughts and some old beliefs show up. They felt very real to me. I no longer want to believe them to be true. And although this feels like a bit of a stretch for me, I am choosing to be gentle on myself today. And I am choosing to open up to the idea that I can shift my reality. That I can become a different, better version of myself. When I first read these desires, I felt fill in the blank. And I noticed all sorts of thoughts and beliefs come up. Trying to tell me why it's not possible, or I'm not good enough. And that's okay. I am ready to shift gears. And I am ready to forgive myself for believing those old beliefs for so long. Okay, let's go to the top of the head. I am not here to live a life of lack and limitation. Eyebrow point. I am not here to just have or to have just enough. Side of the eye, I am not here to compromise. Under the eyes, or dim my own light. Under the nose, I am here to fill in the blank. What are you here to do? Under the mouth, I am here to live a big, bold, beautiful life. Collarbone points, I am here to make an impact everywhere I go. Underneath the arms, and I now realize that I have been holding myself back. Underneath the chest, I have been playing small. Wrist points, and I have been believing old thoughts and old beliefs that are not serving me. Top of the head, I am building a new awareness now. Eyebrow points, an awareness where I catch myself and call myself out. Side of the eye, a new awareness where I choose again in a second. Underneath the eye, I no longer live in lack or limitation. Underneath the nose, I am ready to forgive myself for thinking I'm not good enough. Underneath the mouth, I'm ready to forgive myself for thinking I don't know enough. Collarbone point, I want to forgive myself for fill in the blank. You fill it in. Underneath the arms, I'm ready to forgive myself for believing I'm not where I want to be yet. Underneath the chest, I forgive myself for feeling fill in the blank. Wrist point, and I am ready to step into the human being I know I'm here to be. To the top of the head, the version of me who fill in the blank. Collarbone or eyebrow point. How does this new version of me exist? Side of the eye. How does she feel? Underneath the eye. How does she move throughout her day? Underneath the nose. How does she treat other people? Underneath the mouth, I am becoming this new version of me now. Collarbone point, I have forgiven myself for existing in lack and limitation for so long. Underneath the arms, and I now have the awareness and the ability to choose again. Okay, take a breath. Notice how you're feeling. There's just a little section of in there that we're kind of exploring what this new version of you feels like and looks like. I think we're going to do a visualization tomorrow to really truly get to know this version of us. Okay, and this awakened version of us. So write down anything that came up for you. Let's take a quick breath, and we'll do a few affirmations before we wrap up for the day. How does it feel to forgive yourself? Okay, there's a lot of, there is some work here, right? Consistency is key. We can't do it in one day necessarily unless we believe we can. Okay, it's a whole like thing in itself. All right. But give yourself the grace and forgive yourself for, holding on to those old ideas of like identifying through certain things that happened in the past. Doesn't matter what happened in the past. Okay. So take a breath again. And let's tap on the side of the hand again and say, I now see that I was reliving old patterns. And I am no longer here to exist in lack or limitation. From now on, I choose my thoughts carefully. And anytime something comes up that doesn't feel good to me, I now have the ability to reject it. This feels so liberating and empowering. I am so proud of myself. And I'm so grateful for everything I've been through up until now. I am a very unique and powerful person. With so much compassion and generosity. I know I have been dimming my light for way too long. And I am ready to step into and awaken to this new version of me now. The top of the head. I am stepping into this limitless potential. Eyebrow point. I have released lack and limitation. Side of the eye. And I am choosing to focus on what feels good. Under the eye. I am so grateful for this awareness. Underneath the nose. I am so ready for this shift. Underneath the mouth. I am deeply and completely committed to my own process. Collarbone point. And I am trusting in that I am always being guided. Underneath the arms, I am trusting that I am always where I am meant to be. Underneath the chest, and I am opening up to receive now. Wrist points. I have released control. Top of the head. I have released this idea that I need to know how everything's going to work. Eyebrow points. I'm here for the journey and the experience. Side of the eye. I feel so excited and empowered. Underneath the eyes, I am so grateful for the shift in perspective. Underneath the nose, And I feel so excited for what I am creating. Underneath the mouth, I am ready to transform and awaken now. Collarbone point, I am ready to own these new qualities. Underneath the arms, and develop these new habits. Underneath the chest, I am so grateful to be here now, this point, and to have this beautiful experience. I am so excited. And fill in the blank, how do you feel? And I'm so, so proud of myself. Okay. Take a breath. Checking in, how are you feeling? Write down everything. Ready to take a giant leap. Yes. Okay, so before we close off, sorry, you guys, we went a little bit over today. I really want you to recognize that when we say we're manifesting, when we look at something and there's a disconnect, there's a disconnect, okay? So we need to take a look at these. Tomorrow, we're going to go right into this. We're going to take a look at these. And we need to embody them now. How do we exist in the assumption that this is how my life is now? I don't need to check my bank balance. I don't need to question whether or not I can pay for this, right? I don't need to question whether or not I am consistent enough, because I know I am, right? So how can we embody that now? So your homework tonight, I want you to continue developing this, okay? I want you to continue to allow yourself to the ability to dream and ask yourself, you know, if I am really truly limitless, how does my life look? How does my family life look? How do I look? Who am I? Okay, so develop this beautiful little spider web here a little bit more tonight. Journal on everything that came up today, unpack it, but don't spend too much energy trying to figure out things. Okay, that's a human tendency that we all get stuck in sometimes. Don't figure out anything, okay? Don't try to figure out things. Just notice them and say, hey, do I accept or reject that going forward? Because where I'm going, is this serving me or not? Is this thought serving me or not? And choosing a different thought. Writing out in the present tense, we'll talk about this again tomorrow. Auto suggestion, writing out in the present tense what you want things to look like is so much more powerful than writing out what your current experience is and kind of like dwelling on it. Okay. So we'll cover that again tomorrow. Okay, you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being on live. Tomorrow's VIP day, very special day. It's going to be a good time. We're going to close everything up, do a visualization, and then Larissa's actually going to share a story with us too. So I'm super pumped. You guys have an amazing day. Enjoy your afternoon. Thank you guys for being here. You're so welcome. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Ciao.